Hello everybody, Tuesday's coming up on us really quick and we're getting ready to work on our digital service design workshop. I wanted to share a few things with you. I'm going to go through this agenda first, but I want to take you through the final presentation because a lot of people are asking me what are we actually doing in this workshop. So I want to make it very clear. In the morning we're going to do some brief overview and then we're going to jump right into the first breakout. In that first breakout you're going to get together and you're going to build some services. You're going to use Inspire Designer to build services. You're going to come back and talk about those services you built and the process you went through on very brief presentations. We do have about 15 teams that will be in our workshop on Tuesday. So we want to make sure we get on time on these presentations. We'll then have a short break and we'll come back. Then we'll really get into the meat of things. What is the business value of these services? Why are we building them? And then we want to spend a lot of time on that and then come back and again, present those back as our final outcomes. Now what I want to do is I want to go through the deck that we'll use in the second part of the session. And it's called Transformative Service Design. The meaning of this deck, or the purpose of this deck, is for you to be able to take it back to your management team and make a business case for actually doing service modeling and service design. This presentation that I have is made up of 3 parts. What you deliver might be very different from this. But first I want to just talk briefly about what models are and why we should be using them. Number 2, I want to give an example, which is what you built in that first session. So that's going to be a perfect example because it's one of yours. And then I want to really get into the meat of things and explain where modeling pays off. So the way we'll start was a real high level. All of the services that we deliver today, it starts with a consumer. There's a consumer in our organization or outside of our organization that we care about, and we're going to deliver services to. Management comes and they express the need for these services to be provided, and then they buy applications that are able to bring those services into the organization. Next, it gets handed to IT, and it's IT's responsibility to stand up the infrastructure or to do the other nuts and bolts things that you need in order to make that application run. So now that it's accessible to the organization. And then finally, your analysts and business resource managers, they come in, configure it in a way that the consumers can digest it, and then it's provided back to the business, back to those consumers, the people that originally asked for it. So this full circle goes on and on and on. In an organization, it's typical to have somewhere between 50 and 100 business services that you supply to your consumers. The way that we do this in ServiceNow is we use the Common Service Data Model. ServiceNow has this model in place, and we can make it very easy for you to go ahead and streamline that process in your organization in such a way that it would be transformative to the way things run today. Next, you'll go in and you'll talk about your model. Your model will be representative of the CSDM model. You're going to talk about those pieces and how those pieces actually fit into a use case within your organization. So this way you can communicate clearly to the stakeholders that you're speaking with. Next, after you talk about your model, you're going to go into what this model will do. Is it going to deliver some technical value? There's probably 10 or 15 of them. But I put 5 of them that came to mind right away. Reduces mean time to recovery. We know everybody focuses on that, but it's not the only thing. Change impact assessment. It standardizes security and access. A lot of people don't think about standardizing something like security when you're delivering 50 to 100 digital services. It really goes a long way to, 1, securing your environment, but 2, also reducing the cost. So you're not doing that same security thing over and over and over again. It empowers organizations to reuse components. When you build services, those are all reusable chunks that you could use again and again and again. I went into a city a few years ago. They had 10 different solutions just to normalize an address for a citizen. These models prevent that type of thing. And lastly, it establishes a practice for top-down design. There's so many times that we're saying, people are coming to, we need a new service, John. I need a new service, and here's the app that I bought so I can get that service. Right? People think they need to buy apps for everything. They don't know that we already have a lot of these apps within our organization. So we have to make that clear to them. And we also have to have a way to show them what's actually available. The models give you that. They bring all of that. Don't stop at technical services. Us people as technologists, this is where we often make our mistake in communicating the business value. Talk about what it gives the business. And so the other ones are soft dollars. A lot of the technical ones they see as soft dollars because you're already doing that. But the hard dollars, where does that come in? One, you're going to establish agreements. So now I have agreements, so I know exactly what I'm giving to my consumers. That's part of the model. I also have a support for financial modeling. Because that model rolls up and I know all the parts and I know the foundational pieces of the organization that are delivering those parts, I'm able to create really nice financial models because I know what all the pieces in play are. Next, I'll enable data-driven decision making. Every time I go into an organization and we talk about long-term goals for ServiceNow, almost everybody, I'm going to say everybody in the last 2 years has had data-driven decision-making as one of their top priorities. Reduces cost to deliver. We do the same thing over and over and over again. We're going to get good at it if we do it the same way. That's really what we want to see come from this. And then lastly, to know where your people are. Where are your people supporting day-to-day operations, and where are they also working on the strategic priorities? So balancing those people across these modern digital services with accurate models will be able to give you that insight that you need to see where those people are. The last thing we'll do with that final presentation is we're going to conclude and we're going to reiterate what are models, because these are the three big takeaways. So we want to reiterate the models and the summary points that I provided. We want to give an example of the model that you talked about in all of your takeaway points. And then again, we want to say why modeling pays off. And that's it. We want to give a very clean, short presentation so that we can spend time answering questions. And I want you to take this back to your business to help you move forward with doing digital services the right way. Before I leave, I have one quick thing. I'm not in the presentation anymore, but a lot of people ask me, what service should I build in this workshop? The best ideas could really come from these industry models that we've built in the workshop early on. Started back in 2018, and our work group built out a couple different models. One was easy because it was from higher ed, and higher ed already had a model, so we copied that. All this stuff in orange, they're all digital services. Pick one of those 70 services to go ahead and model. We also have one if you're in government. Pick a government service if you want to do something specific for maybe a service you deliver to a citizen. If you want to do something in law enforcement, we have another example there. And again, all this stuff in blue here are digital services. And then finally, we also have one for the Hospital of Now that was provided by our CTO from our medical group. And you could pick any one of those services and get started. And that's it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing you all on Tuesday morning, bright and early. We'll get started and we're going to have a great time modeling some services. I'll see you all then.